Before you speak, before you move, before you even become aware you are being watched, a judgment has already been made about you. Not a thought, not an opinion, a verdict. Silent, immediate, final in its first impression. This is not philosophy. This is how human beings have always survived, and Machiavelli understood it long before modern psychology tried to soften it with polite language. People do not wait to hear your ideas. They do not pause to measure your intelligence. They scan you for signals of rank, threat, usefulness, and weakness, instantly, subconsciously, relentlessly. Your worth is decided before your mouth opens because speech is slow and survival is not. The mind evolved to judge first and justify later. And once that judgment is formed, your words are filtered through it, bent to confirm what they already believe. You have been told the lie that confidence comes from speaking well, that respect is earned through explanation, that value is proven through effort. These ideas keep you docile. They keep you talking while others are deciding. The truth is colder. Power is assigned before expression. Status is inferred, not negotiated, and most people lose before they ever begin because they do not understand the rules of the arena they walk into. Every social interaction is a hierarchy forming in real time, a silent contest of dominance and submission. Your posture, your pace, your stillness, your restraint, your comfort with silence, these are the weapons, not words. Words come later and only reinforce what has already been concluded. You can feel this truth if you are honest. Think of the people you instantly took seriously without knowing why, and those you instantly dismissed. You did not analyze their logic. You sensed their position, their internal order, their self-perception. Humans are predators wearing language. We read each other the way animals do, through cues that predate civilization. Machiavelli did not concern himself with how people should behave. He observed how they do behave, and what he saw was ruthless consistency. Men follow those who appear unshakable. They submit to those who seem inevitable. They test those who signal uncertainty. Your worth, in the eyes of others, is not what you think of yourself. It is what your presence communicates without permission. Most people sabotage themselves here. They rush to be liked. They over-explain. They fill silence with noise. They try to prove they belong. This signals hunger, and hunger signals inferiority. The mind reads it as neediness, and neediness is placed lower in the hierarchy every time. You cannot talk your way out of a position you have already communicated non-verbally. Understand this clearly. The human brain is an ancient judge. It asks only a few brutal questions. Is this person a threat or a tool? A leader or a follower? An asset or a liability? The answers are formed in seconds, and once formed, they are defended aggressively, because admitting a misjudgment feels like danger. This is why first impressions are so powerful, not because they are accurate, but because they are efficient. The mind would rather be wrong than slow, and it would rather maintain a false hierarchy than destabilize itself by re-evaluating. When you speak, you are not presenting information, you are confirming or violating expectations already assigned to you. If you are seen as lower status, your intelligence will be called arrogance, your confidence will be called insecurity, your silence will be called incompetence. If you are seen as higher status, your silence will be called depth, your brevity will be called wisdom. The same behaviors, different judgments, because worth was decided first. This is the illusion that traps the obedient. They believe clarity creates authority. In reality, authority grants clarity. They believe effort earns respect. In reality, perceived value determines whether effort is even noticed. You are not judged on what you say. You are judged on whether you are allowed to say it. And here is the most dangerous truth. People protect their initial judgment of you because it protects their sense of order. Challenging it threatens their identity, so they will resist updating their view even in the face of evidence. This is why some people are forever underestimated, no matter how much they prove, and others are forgiven endlessly, no matter how much they fail. The moment you understand this, your orientation to the world must change. You stop trying to convince. You stop chasing validation. You stop speaking to be understood. You begin controlling perception before expression. You begin thinking like a strategist, not a participant begging for fair treatment. This is not about arrogance. It is about precision. It is about recognizing that social reality is not moral. It is structural, hierarchical, cold, and predictable if you know where to look. Machiavelli did not teach manipulation as cruelty. He taught clarity as survival.
When you enter a social space, the human mind does not ask who you are. It asks where you belong. This is the first and only question that matters. Everything else is decoration. Status is not assigned by intention. It is inferred through signals that operate beneath language, beneath culture, beneath conscious thought. You are measured before you are heard. The mistake most people make is believing that worth is something they carry inside themselves, like a hidden asset waiting to be discovered. That belief is comforting. It is also irrelevant. In the real world, worth is projected, detected, and agreed upon in silence. It lives in behavior, not belief. And behavior is always speaking, even when you are quiet. Your nervous system broadcasts your position constantly, the speed of your movements, the economy of your gestures, how much space you occupy without apology, whether you rush or remain unhurried. These are not habits, they are signals, and signals are interpreted automatically by others who are not choosing to judge you. They cannot help it. In evolutionary terms, hesitation meant danger. Certainty meant survival. The brain learned to favor those who appeared grounded, slow, and controlled. Speed without direction signaled panic. Excess movement signaled anxiety. Explaining too much signaled insecurity. These patterns were not moralized, they were cataloged. Those who embodied stability rose. Those who radiated volatility were avoided or dominated. This is why stillness is so powerful. Stillness is not passivity, it is control without effort. Predators do not fidget, they conserve energy, they observe. Prey moves constantly because it is trying to escape a threat. The human mind still reads these patterns exactly the same way. When you are still, others adjust to you. When you are restless, you adjust to them. Silence functions the same way. Silence forces the other person to fill the gap. It places psychological pressure on them to perform, explain, justify. The one who speaks to break silence subconsciously submits to it. This is why leaders speak less, not more. Their words land because they are not competing for attention, they are granting it. But understand this, silence only works if it is backed by internal alignment. Forced silence feels empty. It creates discomfort in you first, and others sense that discomfort instantly. The mind is trained to detect incongruity. If your silence is driven by fear, it will be read as weakness. If it is driven by certainty, it will be read as dominance. The behavior is identical, the source is not. People think confidence is loud. It is not. Confidence is the absence of urgency, the absence of the need to prove, the absence of reactive emotion. It is composure under observation, and observation is constant. You are always being evaluated, even when no one is watching directly, especially then. This is where Machiavelli's insight cuts deep. He understood that perception is more real than reality in matters of power. A prince who appears decisive commands loyalty even when he is wrong. A prince who appears uncertain invites rebellion even when he is correct. The mind does not reward truth, it rewards clarity of position. Your worth, then, is not a reflection of your morality or intelligence. It is a reflection of how clearly you signal your place in the hierarchy. And hierarchies are not democratic, they are instinctive. They form whether you agree with them or not. Rejecting them does not free you, it blinds you. Most people are trapped because they send conflicting signals. They want respect, but move nervously. They want authority, but explain themselves compulsively. They want influence, but seek approval. This contradiction is fatal. The mind reads it as internal disorder, and disorder is always placed below order. This is why some individuals seem to dominate rooms without speaking. Their internal state is coherent, their movements are economical, their presence feels resolved. Others feel it and respond without knowing why. They defer, they listen, they adjust. This is not charisma, it is alignment. And alignment cannot be faked for long. The body always reveals the truth of your internal hierarchy. You cannot perform dominance while feeling subordinate inside. The signals will leak: micro-hesitations, shallow breathing, excess nodding, over-smiling. The mind of the observer collects these fragments and forms a conclusion. Here is the uncomfortable truth. People decide your worth based on whether you seem self-directed or externally driven. Do you act as if you are waiting for permission or as if permission is irrelevant? Do you react or do you choose? Reaction places you below. Choice places you above. This is why emotional control is not a virtue, it is a weapon. Those who control their internal state control the frame of the interaction. Those who lose control hand power away instantly. Anger, excitement, desperation, these are all readable, and readable emotions are leverage for others.
There is a dangerous myth embedded deep in modern thinking, that being open makes you trustworthy, that being agreeable makes you likable, that being good makes you safe. These ideas did not emerge from an understanding of power. They emerged from a desire to control those who do not understand it. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He knew that virtue, when displayed without strategy, becomes a vulnerability, not because people hate goodness, but because they exploit predictability. The human mind does not reward transparency, it uses it, and what can be used can be controlled. When you reveal too much, you flatten yourself, you remove mystery, you eliminate uncertainty, and uncertainty is where power lives. The unknown forces attention, it commands respect. The known becomes manageable, the known becomes categorized. Once you are categorized, you are contained. This is why people who overshare are rarely respected, not because they are amoral or foolish, but because they have surrendered their leverage. Information asymmetry creates hierarchy. Those who know more than they reveal sit above those who reveal more than they know. This is not manipulation, this is structure. You have been conditioned to believe that honesty creates intimacy. In reality, timing creates intimacy. Uncontrolled honesty creates exposure. Exposure creates weakness, and weakness invites pressure. The mind sees an open individual not as brave, but as accessible, and accessible means usable. Watch how power operates in any environment. The most influential person is rarely the most talkative. They speak when necessary. They reveal selectively. They let others expose themselves. Silence, again, becomes a filter. People tell you who they are when you do not rush to fill the space. This is not cruelty, it is awareness. Predators do not announce their intentions. They observe patterns, they wait. Prey announces itself through noise, through movement, through panic. Humans are no different. When you rush to explain your motives, justify your choices, or declare your goodness, You are signaling fear of misinterpretation, and fear is always noticed. The mind trusts what does not seek trust. Authority does not plead. Value does not advertise. Power does not explain itself unless it chooses to. The moment you begin trying to prove your intentions, you have already lost position, because those above do not need to prove. They are assumed. This is where many people misunderstand Machiavelli. They believe he promoted deception as a lifestyle. He did not. He promoted restraint, strategic restraint, the discipline to control what is revealed, when it is revealed, and to whom. Truth without timing is not virtue, it is self-sabotage. Your worth is not diminished by being selective, it is increased. Scarcity elevates value. This applies to resources, attention, and information. When your words are rare, they matter. When your emotions are controlled, they are respected. When your reactions are delayed, they are feared. Consider how quickly people attempt to define you. They ask questions that are not curiosity, but calibration. They want to know how much access they have, how much resistance you offer, how easily you can be influenced. When you answer immediately and fully, you give them a map. And once mapped, you are predictable. Predictability is safety for others, and safety places you beneath them. Those who cannot be easily predicted force caution. Caution creates distance. Distance creates respect. Respect creates power. This is why niceness is so often punished. Nice people are easy to read, easy to manipulate, easy to pressure. They are not feared and therefore not protected. The world does not reward intentions, it rewards positioning. Machiavelli understood that humans are not loyal to morality, they are loyal to advantage. They follow strength because strength offers protection. They abandon weakness because weakness threatens survival. This is not a judgment, it is an observation, and observations do not care how you feel about them. You must internalize this without bitterness. Bitterness makes you reactive. Reaction is another signal of inferiority. Clarity makes you calm. Calm allows you to choose your responses. Choice is power. There is a shift that must occur. You stop asking, "How do I express myself?" and begin asking, "What does this reveal about my position?" You stop trying to be understood and start deciding what is allowed to be seen. This is not hiding, this is governance. Those who govern themselves command others effortlessly. Those who expose themselves invite governance from outside forces. The hierarchy always fills the vacuum.
At a certain point, understanding the rules is no longer enough. Knowledge without internal restructuring changes nothing. You can memorize every principle of power and still walk into a room broadcasting subordination. Because the judgment others make of you is not based on what you know, it is based on what you are settled into. Power is not an act, it is a state. Most people live internally divided. One part wants authority, another part fears rejection. One part wants control, another seeks approval. This internal conflict leaks outward, and the mind of the observer detects it instantly. Humans trust coherence, they distrust contradiction. When your internal hierarchy is unstable, your external position collapses. The first shift is brutal but necessary. You must stop needing to be received well. The need to be received is the root of all submission. It places the evaluator above you and you beneath them, waiting to be accepted, waiting to be understood, waiting to be validated. Waiting is not neutral. Waiting is obedience. Those who hold power do not wait to be received. They arrive already positioned. They do not ask the room how to act. The room adjusts to them. This does not come from arrogance. It comes from self-containment, from the absence of psychological dependence. Dependence is always visible. It shows in tone, in timing, in micro-adjustments to others' reactions.
The dependent individual scans constantly for feedback, approval, disapproval, interest, boredom, and they change themselves accordingly. This is fatal to authority, because authority does not change to be tolerated. It exists and allows tolerance. You must understand this deeply. The mind respects those who do not require it. Respect is not earned through service, it is granted to those who could leave and would remain unchanged. Detachment is not indifference, it is leverage. This is where silence returns, not as a tactic, but as a byproduct of internal order. When you are not chasing a response, you do not rush to speak. When you are not afraid of misinterpretation, you do not correct every assumption. When you are not dependent on being liked, you do not soften your edges. Edges matter. Smooth things are gripped easily. Sharp things command caution. Machiavelli understood that fear, when controlled, is more reliable than affection. Not terror, not cruelty, but the subtle fear of consequence, the fear of misalignment, the fear of underestimating someone whose boundaries are unclear. This fear emerges naturally when you are not easily readable. Readability is exposure. Exposure invites testing. Testing invites erosion. This is why people who reveal everything are constantly challenged. They have shown where they bend, where they break, where they need reassurance. The mind cannot resist pressing on revealed pressure points. To reverse this, you must become internally non-reactive, not emotionally numb, strategically unmoved. You feel everything, but you respond to nothing impulsively. You let others reveal their urgency, their insecurity, their hunger. You do not mirror it. You do not soothe it. You do not exploit it openly. You simply note it. This creates inversion. The one who is observed feels evaluated. The one who is evaluated adjusts. Adjustment is submission. Submission shifts the hierarchy without a word being spoken. This is why controlling your reactions is more important than controlling your words. Words can be ignored. Reactions cannot. They are read as truth. When you react strongly, you tell others where they can influence you. When you remain composed, you force them to guess. Guessing creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates respect. Respect creates space. Space creates authority. Most people collapse here because they want to be fair. They want to be seen as reasonable. They want to be understood as good. These desires pull them back into explanation, justification, defense, all of which signal that their position is negotiable. Power is not negotiated. It is assumed, tested, and either confirmed or withdrawn. Those who understand this stop trying to win arguments. They start shaping conditions. Your presence becomes slower. Your decisions become cleaner. Your words become fewer. And each word carries weight because it is not competing with need. This is the internal recalibration. You stop operating as a participant in social approval games and begin operating as a fixed point. Others orbit, or they leave. Both outcomes increase your position.
At the highest level, worth is no longer something others decide consciously. It is something they feel and do not question. You have seen this effect without understanding it. Certain individuals are deferred to automatically. Their presence stabilizes the environment. Their absence is noticed. No announcement is required. No explanation is offered. The hierarchy rearranges itself around them. This is the final inversion. When you reach this point, people do not ask what you think before you speak. They wait. When you speak, they listen differently. Not because your words are louder, but because silence preceded them. Silence trained the room. It taught others that meaning would arrive only when you allowed it. This is the Machiavellian endgame. Not domination through force, not manipulation through chaos, but control through inevitability. You become someone whose reactions are slow, whose decisions are final, and whose internal state is inaccessible. Inaccessibility creates gravity. Gravity pulls behavior toward it without effort. Your worth is no longer debated because it is no longer exposed to debate. At this level, most people misinterpret you. Some will call you cold, others will call you intimidating. Some will project arrogance onto you to explain the discomfort they feel. Let them. Labels are tools people use to regain a sense of control. You do not correct them. Correction signals concern. Concern signals vulnerability. You have moved beyond needing to be understood. This is the stage Machiavelli reserved for rulers, not because they were cruel, but because they were clear. They understood that humans are governed more by perception than principle, that loyalty follows strength, not sincerity, that respect flows toward those who appear unmovable. The final shift is this: you stop thinking in terms of being judged and start thinking in terms of being filtered. Those who can align with your pace, your boundaries, your silence remain. Those who cannot remove themselves. This is not exclusion, it is natural selection. Your environment becomes cleaner, interactions become simpler, power struggles diminish because your position is not ambiguous. Ambiguity invites challenge, clarity discourages it. This is why people decide your worth before you speak, and why the elite ensure that decision is already made in their favor. You no longer walk into rooms asking, even unconsciously, how you are perceived. You enter already oriented, already contained, already resolved. The room responds. Words become confirmation, not persuasion. Most will never reach this point. They will remain trapped trying to be impressive, convincing, or liked. They will talk themselves into lower positions and wonder why their intelligence is ignored. They will mistake effort for leverage and transparency for strength. You now know better. Machiavelli was not teaching evil. He was teaching reality without anesthesia. Reality does not reward intention. It rewards alignment. Internal hierarchy determines external hierarchy. Those who rule themselves rule situations. Those who cannot are ruled by perception. From this moment forward, you either govern what you project or accept what others assign. There is no neutral ground. Silence or noise, control or exposure, authority or explanation. Choose carefully, because once you are seen clearly, you are treated accordingly, and reversal is rare. If this way of thinking resonates with you, it is because you were never meant for the obedient majority. This channel exists for those who seek clarity over comfort, control over approval, and power over illusion. Subscribe if you intend to think like a strategist, move like a ruler, and separate yourself from the blind.